All right, good evening, everybody. We're going to call the meeting of June 28th, 2018 to order. Then have the roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Here.
Council Members Long.
Here.
Napolitani. Shephaka.
Here.
And Mayor Siciano.
Here, everybody please rise for a pledge of allegiance, and then please remain standing for a moment of silent prayer thereafter. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The notice requirement for the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting has been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press, Coaster, and posted in Town Hall and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk on December 28, 2017. There are two exits, one to my right, which will take you out to the front parking lot, and the one in the back of the room to the left, also meanders down the hallway, then also takes you out to the parking lot. If you have a cell phone, now would be a good time to turn it off or turn the volume down. If you want to keep it on for pictures, that's fine. But if you need to make a call, just kindly go out into the hallway there. You have some privacy. Before we come up with anything, I'm going to ask the council to have any reports. Donna, do you have anything for us tonight?
Just reminding everybody that on July 3rd are the fireworks. We start gathering at around 6. Fireworks go off around 9:30. And we have more parking area this year, and we have food trucks this year.
Great. And I think we have a special guest going to sing too, right?
Yes,
we
we
have
do.
our friend Claire
We
Taylor.
have Claire singing around 7:30.
Yeah, that's a treat, folks. If you haven't seen Claire, you can watch our last YouTube of our meeting. She's really beautiful voice. Great. Rich, you have anything for us?
I do, Mayor, I do. I'm on the Community Hope Fund, and I'm very happy to announce that we awarded our grants to some very worthy organizations. Our 8 grants that we gave out total $12,400. The 2018-2019 grant recipients are Midtown Urban Renaissance Program of Neptune, the Boys and Girls Club of Asbury Park, the Mercy Center of Asbury Park, the LEAD program, LEAD standing for Law Enforcement Against Drugs. That used to be the DARE program. That's under the auspices of the Ocean Township Police Department. The Ringside Rescue Advocates of Neptune, the Project Extend Summer program at Ocean Township's Human Services Department. The Euphrates Project of Neptune, and Second Life Bikes of Asbury Park. When we advertise this grant program, we are willing to accept applications for organizations that are within a 20-mile radius of Ocean Township. That's why you hear other municipalities, town names being discussed. So we're very, very pleased. We had some terrific applications, and if I can at any time, because I'm on the council and on that particular group, I serve as one of the officers on the executive board. Ask me, come to a meeting, let me know. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about the Community Hope Fund. That's
Great.
all I have.
Thank you, Rich. Rob?
Mr. Mayor, attended the planning board meeting this past Monday. We memorialized 3 resolutions, one for Wells Fargo Bank for some lighting, and we did some subdivisions for a location on West Park Avenue and Bone Road, and 3 new things that came up, were for 266 Norwood. We approved a outdoor refrigerator for that location. Also approved some medical use in a retail establishment on Highway 35, 1809. And finally approved some pollards being put in for DSN for protection in front of their building.
Oh, good.
It was a
Good time.
relatively quick meeting, uneventful.
Great. Mr. Musillo, you have anything for us?
Yeah, just to let everyone know, we were successful in our community development block grant fund. We received $160,000 for sidewalk improvements on Route 35 from West Park to Deal Road.
Great.
Nice job.
Yeah, we were seeking that for a couple of years and came through, and that'll be help a lot of the pedestrians. There's 2 bus stops that connect there, and they pretty much run on that western portion from West Park to Deal Road. So keeping people safe, and that's a great thing. Marty?
I have nothing tonight, Mayor.
Nothing. And then one other thing I just mentioned, we had our movie night the other night. Moana, the kids in the park. It was a little bit of a misty night, but the young families bared the weather, and they came out anyway. Over 100 had attended, so it was a success, part of our first summer series here in the park, utilizing that beautiful new band shell we have at zero cost to the taxpayers. Also, we have scheduled for July 22nd. You don't want to miss this one. We have doo-wop night with the great Johnny Patillo. So Johnny's going to be there, and he's going to have doo-wop, and it's going to be on a Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, early evening, 6 to 8. Come on out. Johnny's a great entertainer. If you like doo-wop, you're going to love this. And it's July 22nd.
That's July 22nd, okay.
Alright.
I know Johnny was one of my classmates, class of 67, and he's terrific.
Yeah, he was at the
He
4th of
is
July
terrific.
last year. He did
He
for
was.
us. He was very good. Okay. At this time, does anybody have anything on the agenda? Anything about the resolutions? Now would be the time to come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Any questions or anything? Now's the time to ask. No? Seeing and hearing no one, we'll move on to the resolutions. So tonight we have the minutes for June 14th, 2018 workshop. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second,
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
yes.
Naplet, Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes. Also, we have resolutions 18-116, authorize the acceptance of a performance guarantee for the following.
It's all consent.
Oh, sorry, all consent, 8-116 through
125.
8-125, I'm sorry. Someone please offer those.
I'll offer.
Second?
Second,
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
yes.
Shepherd.
Yes,
And
with
Mayor
the
Sos-
change of 18-125 to read August 10th of 2018.
It already happened, 2017.
Oh. Okay. And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes. And for individual actions, we have resolution 18-126, approve the continuance on the assessment installment payment plan for the owner of block 1501, lot 2, who has become delinquent for their assessment confirmed on September 14th, 2017. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second?
Second,
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes. And 18-127, approve a change of 159 budget amendment for the following: Community Hope Fund Grant Project Extend, Community Hope Fund Grant Lead Program, and the Clean Communities Grant. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second?
Second,
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes. 18-128, authorize a professional services with Martin J. Arbus and the firm of Arbus, Maybrook and Good for legal services for a period of July 1st, 2018 through June 30, 2019. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second?
Second,
Sorry.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
That was true. That was serious. Yes.
Council members Long.
I just want to say that Marty and his firm do a terrific job here in Ocean Township. I don't know of anybody that's as knowledgeable about municipal law as Marty is. Yes, I am tooting his horn, but it's appropriate to do so. He's a tremendously valuable resource to the mayor and council, and I gladly vote yes.
And Councilwoman Shepherd.
And I also vote yes.
Mayor Sosiano.
And yes. Okay, 18-129, authorize the submission and acceptance of various grants from the Community Hope Fund. Offer?
I'll offer.
Second?
Second,
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Sosiano.
Yes. At this time, if anybody has anything, now would be the time. Come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Could you pass this to Rich?
What do I want with 15 cents?
$1. It's a big dollar.
Inflation.
Don Geiger, 1108 Grassmere.
We missed you, Mr. Geiger. We're glad to see you.
Thank you. Well, I was just going to say, when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, I'm back. No. The biggest thing I want to ask about, because I read through 300 plus emails, because gone for 8 days is like, hello. One of them was from one of our favorite persons, the Hudson's persons, about the yeshiva, and you're considering buying the property from the person who actually owns it. Multiple questions. Is that for a serious consideration, or maybe we will, maybe we won't?
Right.
Let me
Okay.
do all the questions and answer them all at once.
Yeah,
Make
sure.
it easy. Because, if we do, will they make a ton of money off of us? And we'd probably have to do a bond ordinance, I would think. And then there's whatever rehab and upgrades for whatever you have envisioned it to be used for, which I'm kind of trying to figure out. They said one thing, but, I'm taking all of what they said with about an 18-wheeler load of salt. And then, whatever work, would we do the labor or have it contract out? Basically, it seems like maybe we're throwing good money at something that we really don't need. So would you like to
So
comment on
for
that?
number one, are we serious? Yeah, I mean, we're discussing it now. I authorized Mr. Arbus to present a LOI, letter of intent, which gives us 90 days to do our due diligence, which will have appraisals and whatnot. We'll also have the building looked at. Money-wise, we would probably bond for it, although we may have some other monies available to throw at it to cushion the blow of the bond, but we would bond. If we bonded, I did the math, it comes out to about $6.69 a quarter per household. As far as your third question about the capital improvements going forward, we budget about $2 million a year on capital improvements for all our buildings and recreation, et cetera. So that would be also lumped into that annually going forward. So it wouldn't be a burden going forward of any more taxes. And fourth, we would probably do the, contract the work out, whatever work needed to be done there. Uses, numerous uses. So I don't know how to begin, but I can start with saying we can use it for recreation ourselves. We can use it for Project Extend. Right now we pay the school. We use their school for that. We can use it for summer camp if we want. There's a park across the street that could be tied into that. We can use it as a true senior center. We don't have one. We have a room half the size that the seniors have, and that's their senior center. And that has a gymnasium over there. It also has a big room that could be an art class as well. So it has numerous uses. It could be used for our summer camps. Indoor stuff, again, with the gym and then the park across the street. When I was a kid, we went there for camp. It was a quarter a day, but we went there.
A quarter.
Yeah. And some days when it rained, we walked down to the Wanamassa School and you do art or something inside. Or you went to the boys club in Asbury and you swam. But so numerous uses over there. So yeah, we could put it into service.
Okay.
Be well worth having, and maybe even rent it out in the summer to a summer camp and really make some money.
Okay. So my concern is, and
It's a winner.
well, thinking, are we buying it just to avoid the possibility?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. No, I had discussions with the owner, and he's interested in possibly as
Okay. Just
he has an approval for the use, and while he's waiting to do the work on there, one of his options were, hey, I asked him, would you consider selling it as an option? He said, sure.
okay.
So,
And obviously we will be kept in the loop on that.
Yep.
Okay. And last but not least, I'd be very negligent in my shout out duties if I didn't give a big shout out to Public Works, to Nancy and Mary, and even Tom. They do great
Nice.
work for
Tom's
us.
waiting for you to mention it.
Thank you.
Well, he got mentioned. No, for better, for worse.
All right, Mr. Geiger, thank
Thank
you.
you,
Anybody
Mr.
else
Geiger.
has anything germane to the township? Come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Sylvia, 200 Lincoln Drive. I had sent an email to the township manager today asking about Ray Pogwist, who's not being reappointed to the Environmental Commission. I had seen a communication from you to Ray saying that the council had unanimously decided not to reappoint him, and that you were going in a different direction, I think was the response when he asked you why. My question is, and I know it was a workshop meeting, I'm guessing since it was, the full council was talking about it, and I didn't see any details in the
Yeah, that
workshop
decision
minutes.
wasn't made in the workshop.
The information you gave to Ray was that the council unanimously decided.
Mhm.
So how would you have
I
conversation?
can call him on his phone, then I'll call him on his phone, I'll call Don on her phone.
I don't
then
think
I'll-
you're allowed to do that.
Yeah, you can do that. That's if you don't
You
want to
can't
have a
do
meeting.
business- you can't do
Well,
township
when I don't have
business
time to
like that.
advertise a meeting, it's an appointment. It's not. I mean,
It's still township
It's a council
business, though,
appointment.
because it's a
But
commission.
it's done.
I understand that.
Yeah.
That's fine. But as far as like protocol goes,
Marty, is that
and-
protocol?
Well, I think you can talk with individual members. It's I believe, the mayor's decision
with the advice and consent of the council. So he obtained the advice and consent individually. I don't think there's
Yeah,
anything-
I just went to an ethics program for the state, and that's usurping the public's right to know how you come to decisions. And for future reference,
Oh, thank you.
that's not a
Okay.
cool thing to do. But can you give me an idea then? And I know it's your right to appoint whomever you
Right.
choose, but I know that he had been sitting there for about 10 years now.
He is
He
a
just
good
got
member.
that
Yeah.
$20,000 grant. So what was it that made you go into a different direction, and what is that direction?
Well, we just had another member that was interested in serving, and so we decided that we'd go with that member.
Okay, will he be on the Shade Tree Committee still, or no?
That's the manager's appointment. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't realize, because I had asked about that appointment also, but I didn't get a response about that.
I haven't made a decision yet.
Okay, and when do you think you'll be making that?
Shortly, in the next week or two.
Okay, and we'll, I guess, know that. And then, so when you make that decision, does that become part of public information, or we just see, when we see the list of the committee members, that's when we find out?
I would share it with the member, and then when you see the listing of the people, yeah.
Okay, which I guess brings me to the other thing. While I was looking for the information on that, I also noticed that I'd been pulled from the Alliance for Prevention of Alcohol and Drug Abuse, which I had sat on since Dr. Ponton asked me to join that alliance in about 2009 or 10, and I had mentioned that in my letter today too, and nobody mentioned to me that I was being knocked off of it, and the response was that it was an attendance thing, but in the
Let me see.
8 years that I've been on it, first of all, I'm very surprised that I would be knocked off without anybody asking me if I had intention of staying or why I would be absent from there. And I think some of you probably know about what's happened with my mom, and so about this time, I'm sure the deputy mayor does. He's been kind enough to reach out about it, but I've been, for quite maybe 10 months now. My responsibilities to caring for my mom have been elevated, but in that aside, in the near decade that I was on it, I don't remember anybody ever being booted for attendance, and people have missed like huge spans of time,
Right.
Or at least somebody would have reached out. And I know that Dr. Ponton's wife had taken over Human Services, and now Judy Johnson, and they're both really wonderful women, and I can't imagine that they wouldn't have said something to me first.
Yeah.
So
I think
how does that happen?
nothing personal to anybody. And again, we appreciate everybody that serves on any of these because it's a thankless job, and thank you for
No,
that. and
it's
Mr.
really not a
Colbert and all
thankless
that.
job. It's a really good job because it's important.
And it's a thankful job, but nonetheless, when we're doing these appointments this year, Mr. Long brought to my attention, because I'm not on that, he's on that advisory committee, that there were several people that haven't been at a meeting in a while. And maybe for now you take them off, and if they're interested in coming back on, they want to serve, they can always, we didn't fill these positions, but we took Rob's wife off, we took Bill Garofalo off, who else is here? Peggy Morgan, we took Dr. Marlon. I mean, again,
007 has
you
been
guys are
removed.
interested.
I didn't even know you were on it.
Yeah, so there's 5 or 6 folks, and when I asked these folks, has anybody been here in the last year? And if they said no, then okay, we're going to remove their names for now. And then if
You
they
didn't
want to,
ask me.
okay, well then he is going to send a letter out. He's just right after he gets back. Unfortunately, I know we did this beforehand. If you're still interested in serving, you can always come into my office, tell me that you're interested.
So was that a mayoral appointment? Because I was appointed by Dr. Ponton in the past. That's who
These are township council appointments right here.
Well, because the organizational chart has that alliance.
I have it on my desk for a council appointment, and I got it from the clerk. So
Yeah, because
I
I wasn't
reacted
appointed
whatever
for
he
the
gives me
council
here.
ever.
These are the ones I
Where
got.
every year you get reappointed.
We took an oath that we signed, but nobody from the council had ever approached me about serving on it, or anybody else to my
I
knowledge.
could just tell you every June, the council
Yeah, we took-
appoints.
We reappointed you without
Yeah.
hearing from you.
For the
Yeah, we
last
would just
Whatever
however
long
long
sign
you're
it
on
up.
here.
Okay. I'm
But I
sorry.
thank you for you. If your guys are still interested in serving, call me tomorrow, whatever. And
Dr.
Sorry.
Meller, is it okay, Dr.
We'll
Meller?
add your
Putting your
name.
audience
Dr.
members
Meller, is it
first,
okay?
I'll sit.
Is it okay that you will no longer be serving on the Human
Or do you want
Services
to?
/ Drug and Alcohol Alliance? Is that okay?
Whatever is best for the township.
Excellent answer, and we thank you for your service.
Again,
And you too will get a letter from me.
I don't need one now, thanks.
Yeah, but if you're interested, let us know. I think Bill Garofalo reached out to us that he was interested, but he never got emails about the meeting, so. But he didn't show up, so we took his name off, assuming he wasn't interested. You want to come back?
It was, well, I know that we're not supposed to sit in the audience
That's
and talk, but it had been customary all along, because this is a community input
Mhm.
alliance, and people would be invited, and very frequently there'd be people who were out for a very long period of time for whatever reason was going on at home,
I
and
get
then
it.
they would come back again and become vital components. And I had been all the way up until Mom got sick, really active, and I think
Okay. I know, I
Mr.
knew
Long
nothing
can
about-
tell
I'm
you
sorry
that.
about you.
I had never missed a
know about your
meeting,
mom's
and
illness.
I was really active. I took all the minutes,
Okay.
so which is how I
So
know
you-
people
are you
didn't just get
interested?
booted.
In being reappointed?
Like Dr. Meller said, if it seems as
Yeah.
though that's not what's
No,
in
I
the
have
best
no-
interest of the
No, if you're
community,
interested in serving,
I've
the community
I-
can use you.
I'm guessing I did my part already.
Come to the next meeting and you're back on. It's easy. We're easy. Anybody else? Mike, come up to the mic.
Been waiting to say that since you saw him back there, didn't you?
I'm Mike Zemo, 1101 Roosevelt Avenue. I was going to ask the question about this school thing. And it seems like it's more than a rumor. It sounds like it's something everybody's looking into here.
Mhm.
I heard the quote of about $2 million. There's an awful lot of money being thrown around. You spent $500,000 on that broken down building down there by Mosquito Lake.
Mhm.
And now you're thinking of spending another $2 million for a broken down school that needs work. Not a dime is being spent to try to save this land up here.
2 million.
32
2.5
acres.
million was spent to save it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, but you haven't tried to save that land up
We
there.
did, Mike. That land was part of a 75-acre piece. It was cut up into two pieces, a 42-acre, which we saved, which is beautiful. We got the best part of that land, I'll tell you now. If you go there and you sit there in that driveway and you look at that tower, and then you look at that Human Services building, and you look at that historical museum, and you look at that beautiful library, and we got that 42 acres and that Lee right next to it on the right, that field, and then you think about the other 30 that the developer got, we got the best part of that deal, and that was a deal we
Yeah,
paid over
I
$2 million
understand
for.
that.
So
I
we did,
understand
yes, we
that.
did save it. It was 75 acres. We saved 42 of it.
I'm thinking about, why can't we save all of it?
Right. I wish we could.
Why can't you?
Because I
Is
tried
anybody
last time-
trying to do
I
anything
did.
about
I
it?
got sued. You know that, right?
You got sued?
Yeah. Yeah, the town got sued. I'm mentioned in a lawsuit in 2005.
Oh, back
November.
then, yeah, I
Trying
understand
to
back
save
then.
it, and that resulted in us having to do a rezoning because it was kind of taking the person's property by zoning it the way we did, making it undevelopable.
Well,
You can't do that
what's
here
going
in
on with
America.
this Stop and Shop situation?
Marty, or
have they had
attorney
a-
can tell you right now.
We've been involved in litigation with Stop and Shop on and off regarding the property since 2005.
Yeah, I know
At
that.
the current
Yeah.
time, there is a dismissal with their right to reinstate as they wait to see what happens regarding this current proposal.
With Stop and Shop.
Yeah, Stop and Shop, in other words, would be selling the property to this purchaser, but it would be probably contingent upon the purchaser.
And that's
obtaining
Paramount
approval.
Realtors, right?
Paramount is the purchaser, yes.
Right. But is there any way that we can interject in there and try to get the funds? I mean, we see all this millions of dollars going around the town now that wasn't accessible for trying to do something about getting that land back.
Well, I think one has to look at the difference in terms of the dollar amounts we're talking about, which one was 500 or 600, whatever the number was, and this is 12 or 14 million dollars. There's a big difference in the numbers. That's number one. Number two, this is property that is in part directly on Highway 35, that is part of our commercial corridor, which I think at the time that the township had the foresight to buy the back 42 acres, understood that that would be developed commercially. In fact, the idea was to develop the whole thing commercially at that time, and now we've sort of divided that up to partly commercial and partly residential, which I think is a less intense use than what was originally proposed. So
you're actually giving in to the point that there's not going to be any savior to that land up there, the 32 acres.
Well, I'm not sure about any savior, but I don't think.
Well, what I'm saying is, I'm saying that you're not going to make any effort to get a hold of that land again by any means. A bond. You're talking about a bond for this school. You can't come up with a bond. I mean, you couldn't have spent the $2 million for a down payment to getting that land back, and then having a bond. The people passed the proclamation on the ballot this past year of wanting more open land.
Sure.
We're actually giving up land, so we're going backwards, not going forwards with it. And the town actually wants more open land. That's the way they voted. You're actually letting them down. You're just ignoring what they have asked for.
Well, I don't think the town necessarily, by voting for that, says spend 12 or 14 million to buy that land. You may think that, and maybe that's why you voted for it. I'm not sure everybody was at the same wavelength. But the bottom line is there are people in the town who've come to us and said, we want the ratables. We want you to develop that. It's Route 35. It should be developed. When we had the meeting here, there were people, and again, a lot of people say save the land, but other people said it should be a rateable. It should be.
Well, I know when we came to one meeting, there was only 4 people that got up and said anything in favor of it.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the place was angered to the point of exhaustion about seeing it get taken away.
Mm-hmm.
We now, Seaview Square is part of Ocean Township, right?
I believe it is, yes.
Yeah. And Sears is about ready to close their building.
Right.
Isn't there any way that there can be some talks between these guys that want to ruin that land up there just for a gas station, a motel, and a bunch of apartments? I mean, can't they take that old Sears, talk to the people down there, and they got everything built in right there. They could do half the work they'd have to do up here. And they wouldn't ruin that land and pollute that stream down there that runs through Deal, it runs through everywhere, right out into the ocean. I mean, isn't there any effort to talk to these guys and see if they
Yeah, Mike, I've spoken to him at exhaustion for a while about getting a part of the land, a piece of it, or all of it. He's not interested in selling any piece of it. So the only way to get a piece of that property would be a hostile takeover, but by condemnation. It's not an easy process.
But you can do that, can't you?
You can do it, but it's a very blind.
Can't you
Sure
take
you
it by
can.
eminent
Eminent
domain?
Yeah, but that process is very dangerous. And
In what way? That the town will get sued?
No, let me explain it to you, and I'll tell you why, because most people don't know how it works. So if you're going to take a process by eminent domain or condemnation, you have to go in and say, we think it's worth X amount, and you have to have that cash on hand. You can't just go and bond for it. You have to have the money ready to buy it, because he doesn't want to sell it. So if you're going to take it over, you have to be ready to buy it. You take the money you think it's worth, that we say it's worth, we put it in a bank, it's held in trust or in escrow. Then he goes and gets a forensic appraisal. And a forensic appraiser could say, hey, this property built out, this, that, up. The real value is $20 million. Now you have to come up with the difference. Mike, we couldn't bond for that much without really compromising our bonding status, our credit rating, and or our bonding rate. Everything would be compromised. It's a lot of money. A $2 million building, $500,000 building we bought without any taxes. That was from a developer impact fee. You know, those things we can cope with. Something that big, Mike, would hurt the entire township trying to save a piece of commercial property. I want it saved. Otherwise, the thing would have been built on 12 years ago. We've been singing happy birthday to the Stop and Shop already. Would have been there. 90% of that property would have been covered with tar, concrete pavement.
Well, it's going to end
All right.
up that way anyway.
I kind of think I
isn't it?
gave it 12 years of life by
Well,
stopping it. That's how I look
It's
at
going
it.
to be meaningless in another 3 or 4
I'm
years.
sure, right. You're only as good as yesterday's deeds. I
And then when
understand.
they have an accident and they pollute the stream
Well,
down there, then what? Oh, we
Mike,
made a mistake.
Here's the thing. Just because it's an approved site doesn't mean he's going to get approvals to build there. In other words, it's an approved commercial site. He still has to get DEP approval. If they think he's
Yeah,
going
I
to
know.
pollute, they're not going to let him build a gas station or whatever he wants there.
Well, have they been contacted to look into this
Not
whole
e-
thing yet?
They won't be
They get
contacted
When
until.
the application is made, it's subject to other outside approvals, which if they're approved, which would include DEP approval. So they'd have to get those approvals
Yeah,
then.
well, I was at a festival this past Sunday, and it was a good thing. There wasn't a lot of people there, but the people that were there were very hopeful that something could be done about this land. And there was people there that have worked in this issue for years in Monmouth County and all over New Jersey. And they spoke, and they all said that there is a chance that you could save it. It would take a lot of work, but it could be done. And I just don't understand why it seems like the council is so lax about wanting to do anything with this. And
You're wrong, Mike. You're wrong. You
I
know
think
the-
it's a shame.
You don't
I
know
really
the
do.
history of it. You're picking up on the last chapter here. You don't know the history.
I was around here when Stop and Shop went through the whole ordeal.
Obviously, you don't appreciate the work we've done to keep it the way it is now.
But
Not only the work that was done to keep it the way it is, not only the purchase of 42 acres back when that was done, and not only all of that, but also the efforts by this mayor and the council to continually reduce what was proposed, to increase buffers, to make it less intensive. All of the, and I understand there are those people in town that don't care because they want it to remain the way it is. I get that. But there have been tremendous efforts made by this mayor and this council to try to reduce what was going to go in there, and they've done a very effective job doing it, to the point where I think the belief is what's proposed is as good as it can be, aside from just taking over the land for X amount of dollars that we pay for. So you might not be happy with it, but frankly, I think the mayor and council should be applauded for the efforts they've done to get it to where it is.
Well,
You disagree?
I disagree with that.
understand.
I don't think enough is being done. I think you could look into a lot of these people that spoke the other day, and they said they would come in and help with this situation
How?
in any way they know how, and they've done it all over New Jersey. They've saved
They're-
places. They stopped what do you call pipelines all over New Jersey,
Listen, I hope.
and that's a bigger issue than
Mike,
this
I
little
ho-
piece of land over there.
I hope they prevail. I hope they stop it. That's personally, I said it to the developer. I've said it before. But we're tasked with a job of the zoning question, and that's what we had to act on, based on what was presented to us on the lawsuit and all this and the history of the property. So it's not like we take our personal feelings and bring it up here to the day. Say, yeah, you're not going to let you build on it. We're going to rezone it something else so you can't build. We did that already. The town's been sued because of that. Doesn't put the whole town in a good position. I invite you to come into my office anytime tomorrow or Monday, and I'll be glad to take 10 minutes and I'll go over the history of the property and what's really been done over there. I think you'll have a renewed appreciation for what
Well,
we're doing.
I know what
I
you've
really
done.
think you would.
I see what you've done. I was around here when I came here when there was the Stop and Shop thing going on.
Right. And it's not there.
And we all together, we stopped
Mhm.
that. But it seems like we're the ones fighting for this, and you're all just sort of,
I'm saying you don't know the fight we put into it. I think Mr. Orbis was alluding to
well,
it.
it seems like you've given up on it.
We haven't given up. I mean, we know when.
You know when you've been licked.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a good.
No, I don't think that's the appropriate.
Well, I think that is it.
Well,
I
you're
think we
in
know when we got it. We
You're
know when
talking
we got.
about
You're
too much
speaking.
money here.
We know when we got a
But you're
good deal.
spending money on two banged up buildings,
Mhm.
and you know you're going to have to sink maybe $100,000 more in both of them.
Sure.
That place down there by the swamp,
Might have to knock it down.
you might have to knock it down.
Right, but
and
we-
then what was it worth buying?
Well, we wanted the parking lot for the golf course. We maybe wanted the putting green. There's many uses over there.
parking
hope not
lot.
to knock it down, but we still need.
That's
all that.
even worse than the building it's there, is putting in a parking lot.
It's already there. We needed that for the golfers. There's overflow.
You're gonna
parking.
put in more parking then.
No, we're gonna use what's there.
Yeah.
It's already there. We're gonna use that in conjunction with the parking lot.
All right, well, I guess I'm done with that. The other issue I have is this traffic sign that was stuck in my front lawn. I already have a stop sign on one side of the lawn. And I was just wondering if they could possibly put it on the other side of the telephone pole, where it is land there. I talked to a Sergeant Garrity, or whatever his name is, that's in charge of traffic signs.
What do you say?
He gave me the runaround on the whole thing.
Well, Mr. Vasilla, if you give him the address, it's 1002,
1101.
1101.
Roosevelt Avenue. The sign's in the front lawn. You can't even see it when you're coming down the street because of the telephone pole.
What's the sign?
It's a small red stop on yellow, telling you there's a stop sign up ahead.
Oh, okay.
And I asked him, and he just gave me a good spin, and I just left. I lost there. The other thing, before it does happen, whatever happens up there, can we get something done about this chronic speeding? I mean, I sat out on my porch today at 3:30, and it was unbelievable. I mean, they were doing 40, 45 miles an hour.
I know we
Maybe
talked
more.
about speed bumps, which was unpopular with Public Works and police, but the last thing we had in workshop today was those electronic signs that have your speed on it.
That doesn't do anything. That's
Gets
like
my attention every time.
Excuse the expression. That's, as a fireman, that's like peeing on a fire.
Yeah. All right.
It doesn't do anything.
You think?
They just go by those like they're nothing.
What do you recommend?
I think you still could put the speed bumps in for the summer. I don't see why you can't.
Yeah.
I
would
see
go
them
for
all
it.
over. I was over in Neptune the other day. They got them all over the place over there. And they slow you down.
Right.
Now these people, there's kids on bicycles, people walking their dogs, runners. Something's going to happen sooner or later. Somebody's going to get hit. Today when it was coming down in buckets, they were still doing 40 and 45 miles an hour.
Mike, there are guidelines, and some of which we don't have control over. The county and the state have guidelines, so there are places in town, even if we wanted them, the state may say we can't do it.
Well, how come you got signs that say 25 miles an hour then?
Well, that's
They've
not
been
the-
there since I was a kid.
Well, so we're telling them what to do. That doesn't mean, as you just explained today, that they're going to abide by it. I'm telling you that if we decided to put a speed bump on that road, there are
Right.
still guidelines that the state require that we have to fulfill before we can actually put them in. And if we don't meet those requirements, then we can't put them in.
Well, how do they find out that you
We
have
to
the
apply.
requirements?
We have to apply.
Yeah, but who's to prove that these people are speeding?
State, the police department. They'll actually do a
Well,
traffic.
I'm not getting any success over there either.
No, well, but we haven't looked. Keep me honest. We haven't looked at your road yet, correct?
No, they've been called out, but they haven't done a speed bump count. They've
you know,
done it on
this-
2 roads so
The
far.
Sergeant Garrity, or whoever his name was, he told me he sits out there all the time giving out speeding tickets. I said, well, you're not doing any good because these people are flying. And I mean, they were flying. And most of them are women driving these SUVs, and they're cruising. I mean, I was laughing. It was so terrible
Yeah.
today.
What's his
And
name?
right in the rainstorm, I'm sitting there during the rainstorm, and they're flying back and forth. And yet, there's kids. I saw a kid one day, his ball rolled down the driveway, and he was all ready to run out into the damn road, and he stopped just in time as a person came flying by, and he would have had it. And I have got no success with the police at all. It seems like they have another agenda that they're involved in.
Well, we'll submit it to them again. I think we put that road, Lake Ave, and 2 others on there.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's about 5 that we had put on for temporary speed bumps.
But just another thing to go back to if this construction actually starts. The traffic is horrendous now. Deal Road is backed up every day. They're coming out of Logan and sitting in the middle, and nobody can go anywhere. It's a mess.
Right.
And that's like everywhere. I don't
Right.
even go near West Park anymore because it takes you 15 minutes to get through the light.
It's tough.
and the school's out, and it doesn't matter. It's going to get worse with construction if it starts up here. It's going to be terrible. I just hope that something can be done soon to alleviate the problems now before they get worse later on.
Okay.
Okay, because Roselle will turn into a major artery. It won't be a little backwoods road anymore at 25 miles an hour. Plus, I think a few trucks that go by are more than 4 tons.
Are you now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this past spring, when they were doing a lot of work on some of the houses up the streets, there's trucks going by that had to be more than 4 tons.
Yeah, were they the contractors' vehicles?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're doing the roads and the curbs.
No.
Those
No,
guys,
it
no?
wasn't them.
Oh.
It was people. It was trucks taking equipment and materials to different houses in the area, up further up Roselle.
Oh, okay.
That's
We'll
never
check
checked.
it out. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time.
Okay, thanks for coming. Anybody else? Now's the time to come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Oh, well, seeing or hearing nobody, we want to thank you all for coming. Someone make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Deputy Mayor Chair,
I said no, we couldn't adjourn, huh? Yes.
Councilmember Shephaka,
Yes.
and Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming. Remember, we air twice a day at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., channel 22 and 77, and also we're on YouTube. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.